Nintendo has been struggling with their online services.
But something interesting could be coming to their service in Japan.
Apparently, they're going to take an Assassin's Creed game and stream it. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is making its way to the Switch, which is very interesting because Origins, the game that preceded that, didn't. And this is kind of an interesting thing that's going on because, as we've talked about in the past, Nintendo Switch has struggled to get modern games onto the platform simply because they're kind of demanding.
Yes, the systems would struggle a bit with a game like Odyssey, but they are taking a different approach. They're going with the online cloud play service, something similar to what we've seen with other experiences from the past, like OnLive, or even like the PlayStation 4's service as well.
That is very true. Now, this is not the first time Nintendo Switch has done a streamed video game before, right?
That's right. So in May, they did attempt a little project with RE7. Resident Evil 7 was a cloud-based game where you could rent it for, I believe it was a half year, for about $20. This was, again, Japan exclusive. And yeah, folks had played that, and experiences tended to vary, I guess. There were some issues with just input lag and drops of resolution and stuff. So
yeah. Now, one thing to keep in mind too is when these people were playing this originally, there were some people that were playing in North America. They were playing on Japanese servers, so there's actually a little bit of a delay there. But Japanese gamers themselves also had issues as well.
Yeah. So from the what information I was able to gather, the folks that were playing it in North America had far more issues than the people that were playing in Japan proper. Yeah, like it was kind of, I guess folks were saying it was close to unplayable here in North America from the experiences that were had, but in Japan it was okay. Like I said, my initial sort of bullet points, there were the drops in resolution, and there was some input lag and stuff. So if you want a demanding sort of twitchy game, I don't think the cloud is the way to go, but Assassin's Creed might be fine.
I don't think it will be. Look, folks, this is my own personal opinion on this, obviously. Don't do this. This is not a good idea. I get that they want to have these games on the Switch, but the idea of streaming a game as intense as this anywhere doesn't make sense. Just from one idea that we've talked about in the past, how Japan has a far better internet culture than we do in North America, and that's simply because they have a lot more hotspots available. However, what will happen consistently, even when you're streaming on the go anywhere in Japan, because Japan isn't some unique place that has a special kind of internet, if you go from one location to another, you're going to drop that connection and go to a different connection. And the Switch is not this powerful system that can just instantly connect to all these wireless connections all over the place. You have to switch it manually sometimes.
Yeah, I believe that this service has less of you being on the go in mind, which plays against what the Switch is supposed to be. But I think they're implementing this service as in, like, oh, you're going to be at home and streaming
exactly.
this. Which, again, like, that sort of cuts the use case of the Switch in half.
Exactly. That's the thing. Yeah. I mean, the whole reason why the Switch is successful in Japan right now is because people have a small impact in their home. They don't have these large boxes, and they can take it with them anywhere. That really is why the Switch is so successful. So to make a game that feels almost limiting and you're not allowed to take around everywhere, that can also cause a big problem. This concept is only happening simply because the system is just not powerful enough. So I don't think they need to focus by putting these experiences on the Switch. The Switch has plenty of good games that are coming out that are having a big impact, and instead of focusing on newer properties that are interesting, they're kind of rolling it back. I mean, for all we know, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is running on a PlayStation 4 and being streamed to a Switch. Obviously, that's not happening.
Pushing it a bit there,
but like that, you don't need this game. It doesn't make any sense.
I see this less of like them. Like making this a consistent sort of thing where we're going to see games released every month or so, and I see this more as a test. Sure. Resident Evil 7 was the first sort of footstep into this, and now they're trying it with Assassin's Creed as well. It seems like Nintendo is like the first of the big boys to really be digging into cloud gaming onto a handheld. Like the PlayStation 4 already has this the streaming capabilities, and Xbox supposedly it's rumored that their next iteration of console may have a unit itself that's only streaming online cloud games. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's very strange. We've spoken just recently about how Nintendo often they have these technological leaps. leaps, or they try something that the other guys aren't trying quite yet, like cloud streaming to a handheld, and then there's some issues, or they take a step back. Whereas where they're starting to make a bit of progress. So, what do you think about that? Do you think this is digging into that same sort of mentality that they've had in the past with new tech, maybe not quite developing all that much?
It sounds like they're trying to do something in order to make up for the problems that the Switch has as a system. See, old Nintendo would take old ideas and old concepts, merge them together, and turn them into a new fun technology. What they're doing here is they're working backwards. Instead of focusing on the strengths the Nintendo Switch has and working within the weaknesses, they're basically trying to just bypass everything by just brute forcing an idea of a game running through. And I don't think that works. I honestly feel that the games that are made specifically for the system that are not streaming, even if they were to do that with Odyssey and maybe go back and do it with Origins, I mean, okay, how about this? When's the last time an Assassin's Creed game came out on a Nintendo platform?
Geez, I don't know. Maybe the DS version of Assassin's Creed that came out way
I mean,
back when.
was there a Wii U version? Maybe.
Oh no, there totally were Wii U versions.
Yeah.
There was Black Flag on Wii U. Assassin's Creed 3 came out on Wii U as well.
It's not a franchise that Nintendo fans are chomping at the bit to get into. Those people that want that game are going to play it somewhere else. If you tell me that I can stream the game, and no doubt the way they did this with Biohazard or Resident Evil in the past was that it was a limited thing. You would get the concept, or you'd get the code, and then it would run for like 6 months or something. You'd have to rebuy it or something like that. Look, folks, if you're going to go out and buy a game, buy it to own it. Don't buy a copy that is going to be time limited. I don't know if that's the case here, but the idea is that if the servers ever go offline, and they eventually will, you're never going to be able to do this again. This is dumb. This is a dumb way to make this game work on the platform. Instead of actually making one that works for the console itself, they're doing this.
It seems like like you said, it seems like something that would be a big problem with servers and everything in the future. But again, this is kind of the way that the industry seems to be pointing. I don't know that we're ever really going to own physical games 10 years from now, and that scares me.
Okay,
man.
but see, I will give you that. I will give you that the idea that people will not be streaming, or will be streaming more games in the future, whatever.
Yeah.
The idea has to be that there's a digital storefront that makes sense now, that moves forward. Microsoft is making waves with this. They are having such an amazing digital library
Probably
that keeps moving
the
forward.
best of the three right now. Yeah.
Steam is doing the exact same thing. GOG.com is doing the exact same thing. We are seeing this happen where your library can move forward with you from one platform to the next. I've owned several computers since Steam originally came out, and I have a day one Steam account, so I've seen it transition from what originally was a cluster of bad problems to this really streamlined platform that works so great now. You can even go offline with Steam, which you couldn't do in the early days, and play games offline. Like, they've done a great job with that. What they're doing here is they're selling you a promise that they will never deliver upon on the next system. Nintendo is so wild with how they make video game consoles that their next console may not be anything that looks like the Switch. It may in fact just be a freaking ball in the middle of your room that you just point at and it works.
You're just making sort of observations about a console that doesn't exist. But from what we've seen in the past, yes, their internet service, they have changed what they've offered online. But we don't know that Nintendo Switch Online wouldn't go into a next iteration of consoles. We can't say that.
But this is the only reason I say that is because I've seen Nintendo do this again and again.
So you're taking what you've learned in the past, which is completely understandable.
If they're gonna make a sequel system, okay, like the NES to the Super Nintendo did not run NES games. The Super Nintendo to the GameCube or the N64.
Yes.
The N64 did not run Super Nintendo games. The N64 to the GameCube did not run 64 games. The GameCube to the Wii, that was the first time we ever saw them do that. But that's because it was the same system. They just put new controllers on it. Like, they didn't really change what the Wii was beyond having an interface with it. And then the Wii U to the Wii, they got rid of GameCube support, and they had
Wii support.
They had Wii support, yes, but they kind of had to brute force it to work. And I mean, it's there, but it's not what it like the controller that you get doesn't actually work with it. You have to go out and buy the Wii controllers to make that work.
Yes.
Then what they did was they moved to the Switch, and they got rid of all the support from the back systems. All I'm seeing here is a company that has again and again not established a reason to follow through with them on digital purchases.
We would need some sort of a promise from them, and we haven't gotten that, basically. We don't know that the next iteration will support any purchases that you've already made. But
Look, Nintendo has basically been talking about how they just want to do another 3DS, and they keep telling us that again and again. Why would you trust them with digital purchases now when they could easily make a secondary system that replaces kind of what the idea of what the Switch is, and it doesn't support anything on the Switch?
We would literally need them to tell us outright that they would be doing that for me to feel comfortable with that. But yeah, the cloud streaming, to me, this feels a bit experimental. It makes me wonder if, like, man, I know you're going to have a lot of maybe negative things to say about this.
Okay.
What if Red Dead 2 comes out with a cloud streaming service? But it would be in Japan only, I would assume. It couldn't work in North America.
Well, I would not even trust that. And the reason being is that what Odyssey is, regardless of how you feel about the Assassin's Creed franchise, Odyssey has a lot of textures and details, sound effects. There's a lot of stuff going in there. Streaming that to a console, you lose some of that data a little bit, some of that impression, because you're basically getting a downgraded experience onto your system in order for the stream to work. If you've ever watched a streamed video online, sometimes you see a little bit of a degradation or a removal quality.
It'll jump resolutions as well, which we did see with RE7. So I'm certainly not convinced that's going to be any different with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. But I mean, the Switch, the resolution isn't going to be much better than 720 anyway on the Switch. So
I mean, that's just the thing. I don't think that there's a reason to have this. It's like you're just trying to make something happen that shouldn't. Nintendo has plenty of good games. They've already announced there's a bunch coming out. They should be focusing more on that and less on this, because to this point they still haven't established that they know how to do online properly, and we're going to find out very soon.
Yeah, I mean, just the word cloud with Nintendo right now brings up a lot of emotions, right? Because we have heard about cloud saves and other issues with their online sort of infrastructure.
I don't know. I just feel like this is a mistake. But folks, what do you think? Do you feel that Odyssey is going to be great on the Nintendo Switch, or would you personally actually want to buy a real digital copy or a real digital? I don't know.
Well, you can't buy a real copy of Odyssey.
Well, not on the Switch, but I mean, buy it on any other platform. Is this something that you really want to see on the Switch? I get that it's experimental, but do you feel confident in purchasing something like this? Let us know what you think in the comments below.